Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about candle jars. I think this is not spoken about a lot in the candle community, but choosing your candle jar needs some thinking and some calculative decision. You just can't choose any jar anyhow. And a lot of people don't think deep into this before they actually choose jars, and I'm also one of those people that I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm also part, because when I was choosing my candle jars, these are the things that I've learned choosing them. So if I don't mention anything in this video, let me know in the comment. I would like to learn more, but these are the things that I considered when choosing this jar. After choosing multiple jars, these are the things that I wish I knew before I went ahead and chose the jars. So yeah, I just trying to save you money, so just pay attention. I will explain. So I'm gonna go into 10 things to know before you choose a candle jar. Candle jars are pretty eco-friendly. You can recycle them, so I will not be mentioning that because I don't think you can make a candle in any plastic. So yeah, the glass are pretty recyclable to the best of my knowledge. If it's not, let me know in the comment. So yeah, I do not want to mention that as a point. But the first one is the cost. You need to consider how much you are trying to sell your candle before purchasing the candle jar. This does not need you to sit down and actually calculate the cost of your candle, but on average you need to have a range of how much you're trying to sell your candle and then factor that mentally into the jar you're looking for. So say you want to sell your candle for 20 bucks. Let me just say that because my candles are 20 bucks. So you want to sell your candle for 20 bucks and you're buying a jar that costs $7. That's already $7 out of that 20 bucks. You haven't bought wax yet. You haven't factored in your fragrance oil, your wig, and all the packaging that you need to add to it. So you need to consider cost. Jars can be expensive, so you need to really consider that when you are choosing the jar that you want to use, and that heavily depends on your brand, which is the next point that I'm going into. You need to know the kind of brand that you are trying to put out there. Are you more of like a luxury brand? Because if you're somebody that you want to put a candle there that costs like $400, let's say, there are actually candles that cost $400 for one, then maybe you have the luxury and the you have the luxury and the free will to buy a jar that costs $15, because I'm assuming when you add other costs to it, you can still make a profit. So yeah, if you're having a luxury brand, then you can know the price range of the jar that you're choosing and the kind of jar you want to choose and what kind of market are you targeting. You need to consider that before you choose your jars. If you're somebody who you want to create a candle that is more on an affordable side, or it's just in the middle of everything, you have to consider that too before you choose your jars. The next thing I want to talk about is safety. You just don't want to go choose any glass jar because it is glass. Your candle is gonna break and it's gonna set somebody's house on fire and is gonna cause damage, and you really do not want that. Granted, accidents can happen anytime. Any candle jar can break and catch on fire and all of that. That's why you need an insurance when you're doing this. So but you do not want to be choosing a jar that is very flimsy. I don't have an example here, but let's say like you pick a good or regular wine jar that is very thin and it's not heavy, and you use that for a candle. When you're burning the candle, the glass is going to get hot really quickly, and then the more hot it gets, the more prone to breakage it's going to get. So you want to be sure that you pick a jar that is at least thick, just for the safety of you and your customers. The next thing I want to cover is shipping. It's pretty obvious that candle jars are very heavy. You're using glass or ceramic. I think those are the two that I know that I used to make candle, and they are pretty heavy. And I think wood too. They are pretty heavy, so they are going to cost a lot to ship to you. So you have to factor that in when you're factoring in costs. You have to put that shipping in. You can't just say, oh, I bought this jar for $2, so that's the $2 is my cost of my item. You have to factor in the shipping. So if you're somebody that you're very flexible with your jars, and you want to like be open-minded to the different jars out there, then you might want to find a local supplier, because that will cut on your shipping a ton. Finding somebody who can produce that jar for you locally that you can drive to and pick it up, that will save you a lot of money. So you have to consider that as well. The next thing you want to consider is the look of your brand, the aesthetics that you're going for, and that goes back to knowing the kind of brand you're going for. If you're somebody who is on a more luxury side, then you might want to choose a glass that speak luxury, like a glass that you look at and some will be like, oh damn, this is high end, like this candle is gonna cost, so when I'm coming with money. So yeah, you need to know all of that before you pick your jar. So at the beginning stage of your brand, you need to know what you're going in for and what you will choose strategically that will fit the brand. If I am buying a candle for $60 or like $100 or $200, I will not want my candle to be in this jar. You know, as a consumer, I will not want my candle to be in this jar. I will want the jar to be simple but very slick. I don't know if that makes sense. I want the jar to be as elegant as possible, and this will not do it justice. So just know the kind of look you are going for before you select your jars. The next point is accessibility. I think this is one main thing that a lot of people don't consider when choosing their jar. They see the jar and they're like, oh my god, this jar is so pretty, so I want to use it. And yes, everybody make that mistake. You won't be the first candle maker to make that mistake. You can have a jar that is very accessible as possible, but it will go out of stock. And this is something that happened this year with this jar. I think this jar is a nice ounce straight-sided jars are always there, but they are hard to find now. You really can't find it anywhere. They are out of stock because a lot of people are making candles now. I was using a jar first, and then I decided to switch from that jar before I actually even launched the candle. So this was the jar that I initially wanted to use. This is a 14-ounce straight-sided tumbler from Target, and it is affordable because it's just $1, and also Target is just 3 minutes away from my house, so I can either buy it online, pick it up in the store, or go to the store and buy it. Which one, like I said, if you find a local supplier, it cuts down on your cost. It will help me because I don't have to factor in the whole shipping cost. So I was like, oh, great idea, I'm gonna use this jar. I tested candles in this jar, and I actually even make one of my scents. So the people who bought Cozy Nights when I launched, it came in this jar because I made it down for it to cure. And then I realized, oh shoot, I can only find this jar on Target. And I went to the store and I asked the manager if I can get this in wholesale if I want, and he tried finding a way to get it for me in wholesale. He said he can't, so maybe I'll just have to be buying it and piling it down. That doesn't sound good to me, because just in case this business expands and then I'm making like 1,000 candles, it's like, how am I going to find 1,000 jars to make that candle? So that's what I'm talking about, accessibility. So then I switched to this jar, which is like 11-ounce straight-sided tumbler. They are the same thing. This is just a little bit taller, but they're exactly the same thing. But this one is a Target brand. This one is a Libby jar. This is a Libby jar. So remember I talked about look to. So another jar that I was looking to use is this black straight-sided tumbler from Candle Science. First of all, it will cost me shipping to ship this jar to me. And then second of all, I was getting this jar because I wanted to hide the wet spot that candles create so bad. Like, it bothered me so bad. I wanted to hide it. Oh, I was working with soy 10 and the soy 10 went out of stock, and I thought I was going to launch with cocoa apricot wax. And that wax, if you work with it, it creates serious wet spots, and it bothered my soul. Okay, it bothered me down in my soul. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a colored glass and just call it down. I don't see it. If I don't see it, it's not there. So I got the jar, I tested it, I did everything, and then I was like, if I use this jar, I'm saving on shipping, and it's also less expensive than this one. But the other problem is, even though I am not completely going to get rid of this jar, I am still going to use this jar. I am still going to use something like this. Maybe not black, because I'm not really totally sold on the black thing. But as of right now, it just doesn't fit what I want to do. And gradually, I got over the whole wet spot thing. I just don't care anymore. So yeah, I'm still contemplating. Another thing about accessibility is a lot of people buy jars from the dollar store. If you're buying jars from the dollar store, use the dollar store jars that are always there. Jars that you always walk in and you see. Don't buy new jars that they introduce to you every week or every month, like this jar. This jar I got from the dollar store is a ceramic jar. It is very pretty, it's very nice, and it's very big too. And I was even shocked I got it from the dollar store. But yeah, this I got from the dollar store. Don't use this kind of jars to make your candle. The reason being that if you can find 10 of these jars today and you want to make your candles in this jar, candle making is not easy. You have to test every single jar. So imagine you test this jar and then you created 10 candles and people buy and they're like, oh shoot, I need to go get more jars to make your candle. You go to the dollar store and the jar is not there. You have to go back and test new jars, and that is not fun. I know every new fragrance that you introduce, you have to test it, but what if you perfected a fragrance in this jar and then you have to go back and try that fragrance in another jar? That is not fun. So if you're getting a jar from the dollar store, do not get jars that are not always there. I only got this because I wanted to make candles for friends and family. That's the reason why I got it. But I was not going to sell in this. I knew I was not going to sell in this. So the next thing I also think you should consider is whether you're going to single wick the jar, or you're going to double wick the jar, or you're going to triple wick the jar, or fourple wick the jar, or whatever. If you were somebody who wants to make bigger candles and you want to triple, fourple, multiple wick the jar, then you want to go with a bigger jar instead of this jar, because you can't double wick this jar. You can only single wick this jar. So yeah, you have to consider that when you're also getting your jar. And the next thing is you want to consider whether you want to cover your candle or use a dust cover. So the dust cover is like the thin cardstock that is used to cover the candle. You have to consider that, so because say I get this jar, these jars don't come with a lid. Even this one don't come with a lid. I buy the lid separate from the jar. If I get this jar and say I can find any lid to fit this jar, will I be happy putting a dust cover on it? Is that what I want for my brand? So you need to consider that before you buy jars. Don't just go running and buy any jar, because some jars you cannot fit a lid on it. You have to use a dust cover. So You really have to consider that before you do get your jar. And also labeling. I have seen a lot of luxury fancy jars that you can label any jar, but the kind of labeling that you want, you need to know how you want to label your candles. How do you want your candle to look? How do you want the label to look? Where do you want to put a label before you buy a jar? Because say you buy something like this, yes, you can slap a label in front of this, but this jar is so pretty, I personally would not want to put a label in front of this. I might put a label at the bottom, or I might put a label on top, but the issue becomes when I sit this jar on a shelf somewhere, the first thing you see is not my brand. You see the jar, you don't see my brand. But I want to make candles that people get to see my brand. You see the candle and you say, oh, it's from Belle Candles. So you have to consider that before you choose your jar. So I'm not sure if that is 9 or 10, I am not sure, but that's all that I have on the list for you guys to consider when choosing a jar. There is a ton of jars to choose, and if you go bigger, I would advise you to just source your own jar from China. You don't have no middleman in between, and then it's also affordable and you can get good price for your jars. So yeah, that's all about jars. If you have any question, leave it in the comment below and I'll be sure to answer it. And if you have any worries about candle making, I will share what I know. I am still learning, so I will share what I know. If I don't know anything about it, I will not share it. But yeah, and also if I see something that is not accurate, don't hesitate to correct me in the comment. I am still learning, like I said, and I am open to corrections. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'm going to end the video here. Thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you in my next video. So until then, stay blessed and beautiful.